Alright, hello and welcome back to Somebody's Daughter. Alright, it has been a minute since I last updated, and the last I updated, I believe, I was like in a modeling competition to win like the cover girl for a magazine, and it didn't end up following through, at that point I was currently in a homeless shelter with my children, as well as I think that was pretty much it. So, updates since then, and I believe that was like in February or something crazy. So it is now several months later, um, and uh, and I just wanted to like give an update of where we're at. So currently, I have now found a house with my significant other, and we are moved in, and I am hella grateful. I just want to discuss like the steps that happen in order to like get here, because I do know the struggle. I do know how hard it is to be homeless. I know what it's like to feel like every move that you make is wrong, and I wanted to document this journey so that I could provide some kind of comfort for the people who are also going through that, and then to also possibly provide some hope that things do get better, and then kind of like give some perspective on the things that help me through the journey as well. So, one of the things that was a contributing factor in my specific case was that my significant other, at the time of me going into the homeless shelter at that point, he was he was across the world. He went to Australia, and I didn't want to have my kids at a place that we were renting only a room. So it was like we were renting a room, and there's 3 cats and my reptile and his reptile and 2 kids and then us in one single room. So it was like really packed, and it was like not conventional. Um, and so I went to the homeless shelter with my kids, and at that point there was um, like a safety risk for my children, because the father of my children was displaying a lot of like aggressive behavior, and we went to like a doctor's appointment for my son, and he told the doctor that he felt unsafe at his dad's house, and I was really worried. At that point, like the father of my children was having my children full time after I had lost my apartment. So me and my significant other were trying to get a place in between the beginning of the year and the end of the school year, so that the kids didn't have to move from school to school halfway through the school year. And it sounded like the father of my children was having a really hard time adjusting. So I asked if I could take the kids so that I could possibly give them a little bit of a break. And I hoped to take them for 2 weeks, but my kids wanted to go back to their dad's house. And so after about a week of being in the mission, I allowed the kids to go back to their dad's. And it turns out that there's like a domestic violence charge, or not necessarily a charge, but there's a complaint that went in through um, the sheriff's office about like a domestic violence later after that. So it sounded like he was still having a hard time, and it sounded like him and his wife were having trouble. And I don't have any type of direct contact with that. Like, whenever the father of my children decides that he's going to talk to me, he does. And a lot of times he doesn't answer me. And moving on from that situation or whatever, But after the kids were back full time with their dad, me and my significant other, he had gotten back from Australia at that time, we were still looking for a place and trying to save up money so that we could be able to move into a place as soon as possible, hopefully after the kids got out of their school for the school year. And so it started getting towards the end of the school year, which is in like June and whatnot. And I ended up just taking the kids back to the homeless shelter so that we could be together, because I wasn't going to try to stuff all of us in one room that we were renting. So we ended up just going there, and there was like a lot of problems, like when it came to the social atmosphere at this mission, or at this homeless shelter, where I like to stay to myself and I like to make my kids listen to me. So like I tell them, like when you get your food, I know it's probably not something that you're going to like, but your body needs food, so you have to eat this. And to be honest with you, eating has always been a problem when it comes to my children, mostly my son, because he's a really picky eater. So this was pretty hard when you don't have any type of control over what is being made and what is having to be eaten. So I was also in the same boat with the kids. Like, I know that I'm probably not gonna like this, but we don't have a whole lot of options right now. Like, at that point, I was not working and I wasn't able to work. So there was a lot of pressures from a lot of different areas where I felt the resistance to try to do more and to be more, but I didn't have those opportunities. So it was really tight, and it was really uncomfortable for a long time. And I mean, it probably helps if you find people who you can like talk to and to confide in. I did not really have that option, just because like I am a lot, I'm pretty guarded when it comes to social atmospheres nowadays, just because of a lot of the things that I've been through. And I'm triggered a lot by the way that people act and the way that people behave, to the point where I just try to like stay away from people. And for some people, that can also be like off-putting. Like, people would think like, oh, she must be stuck up, or she must be too good for people. And I don't feel the need to try to justify myself, because I let people believe whatever they want, and I do myself. I do my thing. I mind my own business, and I think that I try to portray that. And I mean, there's a lot of times where people aren't able to perceive that, or they have their own mindset and way of viewing things that is not my problem, but also can cause some friction in a general atmosphere. So with that being said, there was like a lot of shade being thrown. Like, when we go to like the common areas where everybody is during like dinner, breakfast, lunch, people say things loudly and try to bait me into reacting. And thank God I was medicated at that point, Thank God I had been to so much therapy in my life to literally just focus on myself. And I am so grateful, because with my diagnosis of borderline personality disorder, I'm prone to reacting to things, and whether or not they are provoked, whether or not they are not provoked, my biggest responsibility to myself is to not feed into what may or may not be. So this is something that I've become very aware of, and I am making strategic steps towards being able to control this in myself. And if you have BPD, that's not something that's very easy to do, let alone to be aware of. So we're definitely coming some ways in the journey, and I'm very grateful. During the whole time that I was there for like a month, and at that point, like, when you go to these homeless shelters, they help you to try to get on like a housing voucher list where you get to do income-based housing somewhere. So there are programs that help you to find these places to live. And so when you go in, you're understanding that this is just like part of the journey. This is going to help you to get from where you're at to where you need to be and to where you are going to be comfortable. So there is hope. It's just really hard and uncomfortable to be in that situation, to be able to get out of it. So I definitely know what that's like. If you have been in a similar situation, please leave a comment in the comment section below, and I'd love to be able to be there for you and support you as best as I can. I know, with that being said, like, when I was in that situation, there's so many people who'd be like, hey, is there anything I can do to help? And I get so frustrated, and I'm like, no, bro, there isn't. Like I had to just go through this because this is just a part of my life right now. And I guess like the understanding that it's not gonna be forever, it was like the little bit of something that helped me to deal, like, go to bed and I'm like, damn, bro, I'm still in the same position. And then I wake up in the morning, I'm like, damn, I'm still in the same position. But I mean, looking back now, it was what I needed. It was what helped me, and it helped me to build like character. It helped me to realize that you go through these hard parts of your life in order to get to the better parts of your life. And now that I'm in a place, I am so grateful. I still remember like the hard times that I was there. I still remember like the shade that people were throwing at me for holding myself to a higher standard when it came to not letting my kids walk all over me, or making sure that they ate their food, or making sure that they were listening to me, or making sure that they were being respectful. And I understand, like, everybody is doing their best. Everybody's doing the best that they can with what they have. So I also kept that in mind. There's a point in parenting where you're trying your hardest and your kid is pushing as hard as they can to try to get you to not do what they think you're doing is, not favorable, or they don't want to listen to you. They want to push your boundaries. And I understand being so frustrated that you're like, whatever, I don't care anymore. But it takes like a lot of strength to be able to be like, you know what? Like, I understand that you want to do this, and I understand you don't want to do this, but this is what you need to do because this reason. And if you do this, this is what's going to happen. So it helps to give them that perspective. And I think a lot of times it's hard for parents to be patient because like they've already like exasperated all their patience on other things throughout the day. So a lot of strength comes from that. And I will say that in my parenting experience, when I'm able to not only tell my children what is acceptable or what is how I expect them to act and be, I also explain to them why. Because me personally, when I was getting raised, I did not have that. I had to blindly follow my parents, and that's how I survived. So I think that me explaining to my children why I make the decisions that I make and why I do the things that I do, or why I expect things to be done a certain type of way, helps them to gain more perspective so that they can understand it from that way. But part of parenting is still like the routine. It's still the persistence. It's still having to do the same thing over and over again until your children decide that, hey, this is how it needs to be done, or this is why this needs to get done. So the struggle is definitely real. So if you're in the same circumstances that I was, I completely understand. And you just gotta keep on fighting that good fight every day, and you will get to the other side. So, when I was in that circumstances, I was thinking about a lot of the things that I don't have to worry about to try to like gain a little bit more perspective. Like, I don't have to cook every day. I don't have to wash dishes every day. I had my own chore, where I was actually cleaning like the dining room every day at a certain time, and other people had their chores. Like, there were some people who worked in the kitchen, there were some people who did other things, and they had to do that every day. But at that current point, like, I wasn't having to cook every day, I wasn't having to wash dishes every day. So that was one of the blessings that I would reflect on, like, oh, at least I didn't have to do that. But now that we have a place, I do have to do dishes every day. I end up having to do dishes multiple times a day. So I am grateful though. Like, when I'm washing my dishes, I'm like so grateful that I get to wash my dishes for my family, because there was a time in my life where I didn't have that, and it helps me to be extremely grateful for the things that I do have, because I didn't have those things. And I feel like it definitely helped me build character. I think it definitely helped me gain perspective and become more humble to the things that I do have. And my blessings, like they say that nobody can take you away from your blessings, and I believe that, because like, even when you're going through the struggle and you're like, damn bro, like I can't catch a break, it's like, that's because I think a lot of times when we are in so much distress about the things that we know that we deserve, or the things that we want in our life, we get hung up on the expectation. And I talk about this a lot in my other channel, and we get caught up in the expectation. It makes this little bit of a block where we think that this is for us, and we get hyperfixated on this one perspective, that what is really meant for us are our blessings, the things that are meant for us. It pushes them further away. It's like, this is what I need and what I want, and this is like what it's meant for me, and it kind of like puts that friction in there. So I think letting go of the expectation of how I'm going to receive things helps there to be more flow for what is meant for me. So it's just a little bit of an update. I've already been talking for about 20 minutes now, so if you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching, and leave me a comment in the comment section below. Let's start a conversation. I will see you in the next one. Bye.